You're listening to Where You Live with Gene and Tony.
Welcome back to Where You Live with Gene and Tony. We're broadcasting from the Natural Green Lawn and Landscape Studios. We're brought to you by Extreme Exteriors and American Family Insurance, the Kim Bennett Agency. Before we get back into our story about Senate File 1054, it's a bill proposed this year at the state legislature saying that homeowner associations would be prohibited from telling a unit owner that they could not install solar panels on the roof of their home, and that right that individual unit owner would have would supersede that of everybody else in the association. We're going to talk about that in a moment, but I want to tell our listeners here that we've got a great free gift for you. It's a bi-monthly newsletter called What's New. A lot of what we talk about on the show, we talk in further detail. In that newsletter, a lot of the people we have on the show also write. They also write for that newsletter. It's yours free. All you have to do is give us a call at New Concepts during the week at 952-922-2500. Ask for Lori, and she'll make sure that you start receiving it electronically or by mail. Now, this particular bill, Tony, we're talking about Senate File 1054. We were just beginning to say that the association may impose restrictions in the installation and maintenance, but only so far, right?
That's right. There's a limit. They can't impose restrictions that will increase the cost of the installation for one type of system. Cannot increase the cost more than 20%. For another type of system, it cannot exceed $2,000 above the original installation price. So this bill is getting very specific.
And let me, if we can, let's compare this to other requirements. How about when we are dealing with fair housing and, for example, someone in a wheelchair and they need a ramp built to their home? Let's talk about that. The homeowner association could not say to someone who purchases a home and has a handicapped person, you are prohibited from putting a ramp going into your home.
No, the Fair Housing and the Americans with Disabilities Act requires the association in this case to allow it. Of course, it's a reasonable accommodation to allow this person with a disability access to their home. However, the entity, the homeowners association or the landlord, can require that that person restore it to its original condition after vacating. Now, in the case of a townhome, I'm guessing that before they sell it, they have to restore it to their original condition.
And so there's nothing in that says, well, you can't, homeowner association, you can't allow this cost to exceed X amount of dollars. That would be a ridiculous statement to put in there. It says you can't, homeowner association, disallow that, but you can require restrictions on how it's put up, how it's taken down, who's responsible. But in this bill, from the get-go, they are really tying the hands of an association right away, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. You brought up this issue, too, before the last break. What if my house faces the wrong direction and solar panels on my roof are not going to collect enough sun? Does this give me the right and ability to put my solar panels on somebody else's roof?
And that's right, because you're talking about, we've seen it, very typical style would be row townhomes where you have 12 units to a building. So you have 6 units on one side and on the other side, and then 6 units on the other. And so if I'm facing north, the only part of my roof is on the north side.
Right.
And if I want to catch the rays, I would have to put it on the south.
Right.
And like you said, I would be putting it on the roof of a home that I don't even reside in.
We already have this issue going on with satellite dishes, because associations have to allow them, according to the FCC.
Yes.
And they have to allow them to be installed in a spot where they will get a signal. Well, it's very common that a townhome might not be oriented correctly to get a signal from the southeast or other directions. People want dishes because they want signals from home. So it might not just be southeast. It could be any direction. So then they get to put it somewhere else, not above their unit or on their unit, in order to get a signal.
And I'm glad you brought that up. That took place back in the mid-'90s, I think like 96,
Right.
when that took place with the FCC.
Right.
However, there is, I would like to point out, no prohibition in that particular law that says that homeowner association, you cannot impose restrictions on how it's installed if it's going to increase the cost by more than 20%.
That's right.
Because you know that I know that there are many times where the association has said it's not going to be on the roof at all. It's going to be at the end on a peak. It's not going to be on the roof. It's going to be on a deck, on a tripod stand, standing on your deck or patio. There's so many other things that could be required, and they have no say as long as they can get that. But there's none of that in this particular bill.
That's right.
What's interesting is that there are a couple of other prohibitions here too that I think are worth noting. It says that I think there's going to be an issue with how things like this are going to be dealt with once an emergency takes place. I gave the example. You have windstorm, hailstorm, tornado, those types of things. They're going to do damage. I think that the way this bill is written, another aspect that I have a great concern with is I think they're opening up a can of worms in terms of how this is going to be handled in an insurance claim. It said a private entity may impose reasonable restrictions. So, nope, I'm going back.
I think it's
wrong.
number 3.
Number
Subdivision
3.
3, number 3. Yeah.
Yes, there we go. It says the owner and each successive owner of the solar energy system must provide a certificate of insurance naming the private entity as an additional insured on the homeowner insurance policy.
So the homeowner has to get an insurance policy for their home and name the homeowners association as an additional insured.
Yes. And then it says the owner and each successive owner will be responsible for any of the costs or damages the solar system has on the common elements, limited common elements, and any adjacent item resulting from the installation, maintenance, repair, removal, replacement of the solar system. So that sounds reasonable, but again, realistically, what is this going to do? If you have something like this put on, and let's say there is a wind event, okay? So a windstorm, and it blows off the solar panel and tears up the roof. And now I can foresee in our society, with the way things have come with dealing with insurance claims, you're going to have insurance companies that are pointing the finger at each other. They're saying, no, it's your responsibility. And the other saying, no, it's your responsibility.
And in this case, we would have the homeowners insurance and the homeowners association's blanket insurance policy for property.
Yes.
Right?
And then the other aspect of this, too, is that we know for a fact that there are a number of homeowners in HOAs who don't keep up with an HO6 policy.
That's right.
And so they may be required to do so, but it lapses. And now all of a sudden you have a homeowner association that has the right to say, hey, there's a $5,000 deductible you're going to have to pay, but they don't have the ability because
to collect it.
If the person isn't paying $400 a year for an HO6 policy, they sure aren't likely to give $5,000 or have it out of their pocket for a deductible either.
Yeah.
And so that is a big concern. Another aspect of this, well, looking by the clock, I think we probably need to take a break. So why don't we do that right now? And we'll save our last comments for this bill, Senate File 1054, on solar panels after these messages.